You're watching the RebZone Sports Show on Fox 5.
Show that we are an evolved, mature football team. We are a deserving football team. You got to work to win.
The Rebels put in the work, and they come away with a big win. Straight ahead in the RebZone, UNLV puts up some big numbers and makes a statement in front of the home faithful. Head coach Tony Sanchez is in studio to break down a convincing win against UTEP. Plus, what it will take to dismantle Prairie View A&M this Saturday. And a look at UNLV's push to have the community play a part in the success of Rebel athletics.
You guys ready to go tonight?
Let's light off some offensive fireworks and explode with 30 minutes of the RebZone right now.
This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
Welcome inside the RebZone. Kevin Bollinger alongside UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez, coming off a very convincing win and another solid effort by your team for the second week in a row.
Yeah, it was good to see the guys come home and just really, especially offensively, just really start fast, scoring on 5 of the first 6 possessions. Defensively, we had to adjust some of that quarterback, inside zone run game, and we did that. Once we settled down, played really good on the defensive side of the ball. So it was great to be in front of our home crowd and get a W.
4 out of 5 red zone chances, too. I think the only time in terms of the one that didn't happen was just late in the game because you guys took a knee to end the game. Red zone conversions big, only 1 field goal out of there. Yeah,
that was good. I mean, we were really perfect on the night. Like you said, we just let the clock run out at the end. Obviously you'd like all touchdowns, but it was good to be 100% in the red zone when we had opportunities to do so. We didn't do that the week before.
Let's start breaking this one down with the highlights, starting with the first half, where the Rebels showed early dominance on the offensive side of the ball.
You busted your ass. We busted our ass to build this damn program the way we envisioned it. You understand that? And you were the result. Own it, you hear me? Play fast, play physical from the get-go. Set the pace.
GMB on 3. 1, 2, 3. GMB.
I have full confidence in you as a group. Full confidence. Have confidence in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in your technique. Believe in your teachers. Believe in all the hard work and everything you've done. And go out there and put it on the damn field.
A steamy night at Sam Boyd, and the Rebels wanted to come out hot. They win the toss and elect to receive to get the offense rolling, and they did just that. On 3rd down, Charles Williams keeps the drive alive by moving the sticks. Then off play action, Armani Rogers hits Makai Stevenson wide open. That's right down the middle, and they connect for a 51-yard touchdown. UNLV was up quickly, 7-0. UTEP answered right back, having success on the ground. Quadrez Wadley breaks free, and he runs for 41 yards down to the Rebel 23. Later in the drive, quarterback Kai Loxley keeps it himself for the 1-yard score, and we were tied at 7. UNLV put together another drive, capped by Tyleek Collins in motion. He gets it on the end around and rolls into the corner of the end zone as the freshman gets his first collegiate touchdown. It was 14-7. With UTEP driving, Gabe McCoy comes up with a big defensive play, getting penetration on 3rd down and dragging down Loxley. The Miners had to settle for a field goal to make it 14-10. On the first play of the second quarter, from the 28, the low snap, and Rogers scoops it up and takes off, scampering into the open, and it opens things up a little bit with the touchdown, 21-10. The defense would come up with some possession stops, and later in the second, Gabe McCoy comes through again with the sack. That would give the Rebels the ball back, and they took advantage. It was Lexington Thomas doing the damage. September lightning from Lex as he turns the corner and turns on the afterburners. 40 yards for the score and a 28-10 lead. Evan Pantels would connect on a 35-yard field goal to make it 31-10. Then later in the half, the Miners thwarted again in Rebel territory as Javen White comes up with a big interception. UNLV would take over at their own 7, but they weren't done. They marched right down the field in 7 plays, capped by Rogers to Darren Woods, who fights his way into the end zone with 22 seconds left. UNLV went into the locker room with a 38-10 lead.
You emphasized a fast start all week, as you said, 5 of 6. I think 6 of 7 it was in the first half in terms of scoring, which was fantastic. and he did it with a little run-pass balance in the first half. A great start. That's exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, it was really good. You know, that first carry by Lex was fantastic, but we were able to, you know, run the ball at him, be real physical early on, got him to drop their safeties in the box, and then the first opportunity we had, you know, went over the top to Mackay. A little bit later, went over the top to Presley and got the pass interference. So, you know, that's just like converting a big one there, too. So it was really good to see. I thought we did a good job of being physical up front and, again, getting them to kind of get out of that umbrella safety look so we could get the ball over the top. So really pleased with that. And then I love the way the half ended. I mean, the defense getting that stop. Offense, you know, we were backed up in our own area, didn't want to do anything silly, but once we got the first down, we went right to a NASCAR pace and went down the field and scored. So it was a great way to close the half. Right
out of the gate with your running backs, you were able to kind of rotate everybody in there, and it ended up being that Thomas, Williams, and Campbell all ended up with double-digit carries on the game, and I think that was important, especially on a hot night like that. But it wasn't just because it was a blowout. You shuffled those guys in right away. Yeah, early in the game you saw that. I mean, I think you had Lex with 17 carries, Chuck had 12, Armani had 10, Xavier had 10. So when you have that type of balance, it keeps everybody fresh. If there's one, I guess, thing that came up in the first half, it would have been the rush defense in the first couple of series. Maybe some tackling issues that we didn't see at USC the week before, but something that was corrected, it looked like. It was. They ran some of that split zone. You know, they were reading the 3 technique, and they did a really good job of it, and we had to adjust to it. Didn't do a really good job in the back end safety spot making tackles, and we got to get ourselves back into the huddle. So really proud of Javen, though. That second big run they had after the score was I believe the score was 7-7 at the time. He ends up making that tackle down the field after a safety miss and holding to a field goal. So love the effort there. And after that, Skip did a good job on the sidelines adjusting and settling him down. We've seen with the tackling, you know, in the past a lot of arm tackles, which led to problems. We aren't seeing that this year. These guys are wrapping a totally different scenario than what we've seen in past years. Yeah, I mean, they're just more committed to the technique. You know, we drill it every single day, and again, it's starting to translate onto the field. Again, early on a little sloppy, but as the game went on, it got better and better, and we need to see that. You're up big. You go into the locker room at halftime. What did you say to them to make sure that they kind of kept the pedal to the metal and didn't let this team ease back in? Well, honestly, we talked about the week before. We said, hey, you know, we came out, you know, last week, you know, defensively did a good job. Let's continue to do that. Offensively, we got to put a score together right away to show that we can do that. Can't have a stale third quarter. And again, it's one of the things, you know, when you talk about, you know, your evolution and you continuing to get better as a program, it's, you know, the way you start the game. It's the way you come out of the locker room in the second half. It's the way you finish games. And we wanted to see that. I thought the defense did a great job of creating the turnover. We scored right away. You know, defense continued to do well. Offense kind of sputtered for a minute, and then we're able to gain ourselves back and get that touchdown. So I'd like to see us be a little bit more consistent on that second series. Well, let's show you what happened in the second half. The Rebels did keep the pressure on, and the players fired up their singing voices in the end for the first time this season.
Fireworks in the first half and more to come in the second. First play from scrimmage in the third quarter. Loxley fumbles and Farrell Hester is there. He picks it up and returns it to the 12. 2 plays later, Thomas spins his way into the end zone, and UNLV had opened up a 45-10 lead. UTEP would answer as Loxley scampers 20 yards for the score to make it 45-17 headed into the fourth quarter. A UNLV hit one last time as Rogers finds Collins for the score. The Miners would get one more, but this was total domination by the Rebels. 533 yards of total offense, including 414 on the ground. Rogers has his first 3-touchdown passing game of his college career and his third 100-yard rushing game, which ties Jason Thomas for the most in UNLV history. All that was left was to fire up the band after a 52-24 win.
We have to keep going. No matter who we're playing, we have to keep finishing the drives, and we have to keep putting points on the board and just go from there and just not let up, because you never know what can happen.
It doesn't matter who we play. We got to come out fast and physical, know your assignments, and just go play. You've been playing football since you're 5 or 6. It doesn't change whoever you play. There's big games, there's low games, but you got to learn how to just be consistent throughout the whole way.
So the defense creates the fumble right there on the first play of scrimmage from the second half. How important was that in terms of setting the tone for moving forward in that half?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, for them, that's a big blow, and for us, it's a big, motivator right there. So, you get the turnover right there inside the red zone, and then we're able to go right down and put it in. It just kind of, again, just furthers that lead and, adds to your confidence and really puts them behind the 8 ball, which they already were.
We've talked about the accomplishments of Armani Rogers at UNLV, and he's done some great things, but his versatility really changes the dynamic of not only what you can do, but what an opposing team has to get ready for. We're seeing those skills kind of on display here.
There's no doubt. I mean, again, early in the game and even throughout, his vertical passing has really improved, from 20 on. We got to get a little bit better in the short game. He's got to settle down, not be so herky-jerky, early on there. But his ability to run the ball is amazing. I mean, when you look at his, the yards he's gained at this point in his career, he's way ahead of the pace of Lexington at this time. I mean, it's kind of scary to think about, how many yards he has, just after 2 games of his sophomore year. I mean, heck, he may be chasing Lex here, really, really soon for that record. So, anyways, I'm really proud of him. I mean, his demeanor, the way he handles things, his sideline demeanor, in the huddle, his leadership ability, he's really evolving, and he's got a long way to go.
One of the big things that happens when you have a blowout is you're able to get in the 2s, and in some cases 3s, for significant snaps. How important, we talk about depth so much and how much of a factor that's going to play later in the season, to get those guys some quality snaps in a game. What's the benefit of that down the road? It's
huge. I mean, especially defensively. In the past there's been such a drop-off, and we still got to have our 2s be a little bit better. There's things that they got to get better at. But when I look at, at a game like this, and, there's 66 snaps, and no D lineman played more than 38. That's huge, when you're resting your guys there. Corners, no corner played into the 40 play mark. They're all in the 30s. We had 1 safety that played in the 50s. Everybody else was in the 30s and in the 20s. So, again, when you have a defensive unit that's playing half the snaps, it's just going to pay dividends down the road.
We're just getting started here in the Red Zone. Up next, we're going to look ahead to this Saturday's home game against Prairie View A&M. What are the keys to starting a winning streak here in 2018? We ask Coach Sanchez in just 2 minutes.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
This Saturday, the Rebels look for 2 in a row as they welcome in Prairie View A&M for a 7 p.m. kickoff.
Anyone who plays Prairie View A&M knows the biggest factor to deal with is speed. They have players at skill positions who can flat out run, and sometimes that can pose matchup problems. Offensively, quarterback Jalen Morton has been solid so far this season, but the offensive weapon to keep an eye on is running back DeWanya Tucker, who racked up 267 yards against North Carolina Central a couple of weeks ago. While the offense can be explosive, Prairie View's defense can still give up a lot of yards. That's led to a lot of games that turn into shootouts. But that side of the ball did bring in some transfers this season to add some depth for track meet games. This by no means is a team that you can overlook. Prairie View took Rice to the very last play in week 1, and they're more than capable of coming in and giving UNLV all they can handle. With a huge road game next week at Arkansas State, the Rebels need to make sure that they keep their eyes on the now and not the future.
All right, so let's talk to DeWanya Tucker, a very, very good running back. He's got to be priority number 1 defensively.
He does. I mean, when you look at him, he's had over 500 yards rushing in the last 2 weeks. Again, they go down to the last possession against Rice, win the next game, lost a tough one last night in the rain to Sam Houston State, but, he had another 250 some odd yards. It's one of the faster teams we'll play this year. We were going to have to do a really good job of wrapping up, tackling like we have been, and then we're going to have to challenge them in the back end. I mean, they got an Oregon transfer starting receiver. Again, I believe Juwan's from Kansas State originally, so they've got some really good quality guys there. They're a fast team and they're physical, so, we got to make sure we play our game and play assignment sound.
When they have some speed, and even on the defensive side of the ball, when Lex or Armani get some space, and some of these guys might have catch-up speed. Some blocking downfield is going to be important that maybe you wouldn't have to think about, because usually when Lex is in the open field, he's gone. But that could be a factor in terms of next Saturday.
No doubt. Got to do a great job with our receivers downfield, blocking, engaging those guys. I know they had a pick 6 yesterday. You know, they had 2 interceptions. One was for a touchdown. So, you know, these guys are very capable of making big plays. So, again, we got to, you know, make sure we play our game and play smart football.
It was really hot last night. It's supposed to be around 100 degrees this next weekend. How does the heat at this time of the year, does that impact anything at all? Or because you're able to rotate guys in now with the depth, does that give you maybe an advantage over a smaller school coming in that might not have the depth to roll guys in and out?
Well, we hope it does, especially up front. You know, the defensive line is the biggest area, you know, you worry about, you know, in receiver-wise, corners-wise, those guys have to run a bunch. So, you know, we hope that's a factor here. The kickoff's an hour later this week, you know, so it'll be a little bit cooler, you know, nobody will be in the direct sun. But yeah, I mean, again, anytime you have depth, it gives you a huge advantage.
That's a 7 p.m. kickoff out of Sanborn Stadium, and we hope you join us out there for that one. Time for us to take another break, but when we return, we're going to let you know about UNLV's Drive for 5 and how you can help create champions on and off the field in every UNLV sport. That's on the backside of the break as the Red Zone rolls on.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
Non-Power 5 schools like UNLV need to have a fundraising mechanism in place to help them compete not only in sports but in the other aspects of supporting student athletes. With that in mind, UNLV has kicked off a drive where the community can lend a helping hand while being a part of Rebel success. To be the best, you need a full team supporting you. For UNLV Athletics, that includes the community. That's why they're making a push to get fans invested in the athletic department with the Drive for 5 program.
Every great city, and that's what Las Vegas is, right? It's this world-class city. But every great city has a great public research institution. And you know what distinguishes great public research institutions are great athletic programs. We bring visibility, and we saw it with the Golden Knights. It's this wonderful opportunity for all of us to come together and rally together.
Drive for 5 is chaired by PGA golfer and former Rebel star and UNLV Hall of Famer Ryan Moore, who is helping to make sure his school stays in position to compete. The goal is to get at least 5,000 members in the Rebel Athletic Fund, which would put UNLV at the top of the Mountain West in that category. Right now, they're in the middle of the pack. All of the money raised goes directly to scholarships and to support all 480 UNLV student athletes.
For our student athletes to be successful competitively on the court, in the classroom, and really preparing them for life, it's critical that we provide support in the nutrition area, strength and conditioning, sports medicine, really the whole holistic experience that goes into making championship caliber student athletes.
The goal is to not only win championships in every sport, but to graduate leaders and people who will continue to impact the community.
We expect our coaches to win championships and be the best. And this is our way of being able to also be the best in the fundraising space.
UNLV is one of only a handful of schools in the country where every coach is a donating member. Now they need the community to help out. You can join the Drive for 5 for as little as $25. Just head to UNLVRebels.com and click on Rebel Athletic Fund for more information and to join.
So money's a big issue. I mean, it is in every athletic department across the country, whether you're a Power 5 or not. But when you're a school that doesn't get, say, the big TV contract revenue, the community support on that part really does trickle down, not just in football or basketball, the high-profile programs, but everything through the Olympic sports as well.
There's no doubt. I mean, you know, like Desiree said, you know, there's an expectation to win championships, but in order to win championships, when you see championship-level teams, they have championship-level investment, you know, and for so long, our teams have been operating on, you know, lower budgets, lesser facilities, you know, in some of the programs. So, you know, the investment for, you know, to free up some of that money, you know, so that some of the athletic department money can go towards building facilities, can go towards, you know, championship caliber, you know, eating and strength and conditioning and academic support. Those things are huge because if the expectation is there, then we need to match it financially.
It is a good cause to get involved in, so head to the website and check it out and maybe get involved in the Rebel Athletic Funds Drive for 5. We're going to take one final time out and then the UNLV Plays of the Week, but as we go to break, here's a look at how other Mountain West teams did over the weekend.
watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willie. Your home, your way.
All right, so here we go. Saturday night, 7 p.m. kickoff, Prairie View A&M. Big crowd needs to come out here and start supporting this team because you got something special going.
Yeah, you know, the people that showed up last night did a really good job of cheering us on. We'd like to see that crowd get bigger and bigger. You know, I know our guys are, you know, they're fighting their tails off, and, you know, we want to go out there and fight for another win in front of our home crowd.
It's a 1 week at a time thing. I know
Absolutely.
it's a cliche to
One
say
play
that.
at a time.
One play at a time. It'd be good to get a little winning streak started, and I think that this team's certainly capable of hopefully getting the job done here. Thank you, Coach, and we'll see you out there on Saturday night. Hope to see you out there as well. That's a wrap for the RebZone for this week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again on Sunday night. We'll leave you with the plays of the week. Good night.
Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show was presented by RC Willie. Your home, your way.